What's up, guys? We are back with Tyler Nelson. And, the podcast we have with him, especially on YouTube, they do quite well. So you guys like listening to Tyler. I can tell that. And he's a great guy, full of knowledge. Love having him on the show. So this is part two. Please, as I always say, if you want to get the whole story, capture everything, go back to part one, listen to that, and then move on to part two. But this is the HVAC Know It All podcast, guys. I'm your host, Gary McCreadie. Top contractors across the US only. This one's going to be pretty cool to expand your marketing reach. Property.com is an exclusive network for certified pros. You can get your own custom Property.com webpage for free. You can also get AI-powered reputation management and get some great lead generation and prospecting tools. The Know Before You Go tool is pretty cool. It gives critical homeowner data like how much they've paid on past jobs. Join Property.com's exclusive network now to expand your reach with homeowners across the U.S. Use McCreadie.property.com, so that's MCCREADIE, property.com, to fill out the form to get approved. Why does a combustion analyzer shut the pump off when the CO goes off the charts like that?
So we, in our analyzer, we give you an 8,000 ppm, and the one that you're speaking of, 8,000 ppm of protection. So what happens is the way it shuts that off is when it overranges the sensor. In this case, in ours, we have what is called programmable pump cutoff. It's a feature unique to our analyzer where you control when the pump cuts off. It comes factory set at 2,000 ppm. You can raise it up to that higher threshold. You can lower that number down if you don't want to have it get to 2,000, or you can shut it off. And I jokingly say in trainings, I won't be your friend if you do because it's here to protect you. But that's what it did. So in your case, Gary, it shut off before that sensor got saturated. So in other analyzers that are out there, it could potentially saturate that sensor where you could kill the sensor and pin it overall so it never recovers, or it could take 10, 15 minutes or half an hour, a couple hours for it to recover. In this case here, your pump cuts off, you pull the probe out of the stack, you let it take a breath for a minute or two, and then you'll see the pump come back on, and you can go back and test. But it overranges it because the CO is so high in those conditions. And that is a way of letting you know that, listen, that system is running way, whether it's an overfired condition or whatever the issue's going on with that system there, that's what's causing that problem. So it's an alert to other potential issues with the system and what you just noticed there. But by using one as a diagnostic tool, it enables you to better do your job. Think about this. If you didn't have it, what would you be doing? How would you be looking at that? Differently, of course. And the greatest compliment that myself and that Sauermann can get and the other excellent manufacturers out there that make analyzers is when somebody says it's like having a second technician with you some of the time for how it's able to almost have eyes in the back of your head to help you solve things. That's the greatest compliment that we can get for those of us that manufacture these things.
It was super interesting. I'm like, man, there's something seriously going on with this thing. So I talked to the manufacturer. They're like, yeah, if you have to cock that isolation valve, the hand valve back 60%, and your incoming gas is fine, there's something going on with the gas valve that is not regulating flow to it. So I'm leaving it up to the salesman on site because it's a warranty thing. He's going to order the parts. I'm going to go back and change them and set it up from scratch. But it was interesting and cool to see that happen. And I mean, a lot of people, they don't know that specific smell. I don't even know how to describe that smell of aldehydes you get, but you can tell something is completely wrong. And people think that they're smelling CO, but they're not smelling CO.
Like we were joking around before we got on this call. I've been up since 3:30 this morning. I had to drive to Western Pennsylvania for a presentation and was talking to those technicians today about it. So here's the thing. When somebody says they smell CO, they don't. But what they're smelling is the off-gassing of a combustion process. So envision, and this is the only way that I can know to explain it, and if somebody comes up with a better way, please feel free to learn me up, as they say. I'll change my explanation. But I want you to envision two cables going into my nostrils. And we know with a piece of cable, there are multiple strands of cable that make up that tensile rigidity of the cable. So they're going into my nostrils. So that's the off-gassing that they're smelling of another combustion process. Intertwined, or like a serpent would wrap around my arm like a snake, intertwined in that is the carbon monoxide. So they're not smelling it. They're smelling the off-gassing of something else, but they're breathing that in, that carbon monoxide in. Now, their low-level monitor that I mentioned earlier, probably not detecting on that low-level monitor because of the levels that I gave you. 70 to 300, 1 to 3 hours of exposure. So it's not triggering there. So they're calling you going, I don't feel well. And you're saying to them as a contractor, is your CO alarm going off? No, but I smell CO. And they're like, no, you can't smell CO. Their body is speaking to them before the monitor is speaking to them. So they're bringing it into their nostrils. It is intertwined. Carbon monoxide is going in. It's not enough to detect, but it's starting to cause a wearing down of whatever wearing down of their health at that present moment. So that's how it happens. So again, even though you can't smell it, it is there because it is intertwined in what is going into your nostrils for your sensory experience. By the way, CO can pass through walls, Gary, too. CO can pass through walls as well.
Like what type of wall? Like a drywall?
Yeah, you can pass through drywall. I learned that. So the instructors for the National Comfort Institute, NCI, in my opinion, they're the top instructors on the planet. And I learned that from attending a presentation on one of them had done. And I didn't know that it could pass through walls. I knew a lot of all these other things we discussed. I did not know that. And it could pass through walls. And then once that was said to me, I was speaking at a conference recently, and somebody came up to me and said that they had that happen to them, where their wearable monitor was going off, and CO was in an adjacent room where it was pretty much walled off, and somebody was running a tow motor over there, and it was able to pass through the wall, not even under a door sill, because they were in the middle of a room, and it was able to go off and actually register on their personal monitor. So the NCI instructor was true to form because they're speaking the gospel of all this stuff, and they're speaking it correctly and out there and training people correctly. And I learned that, and it's been an eye-opener for me. And then it dropped in my lap when this person said, oh, yep, or saw it happen in real life. I'm like, wow, that's incredible.
So I'm wondering if it's actually passing through the physical wall or openings, like filtration, or, you know what I mean? Like
air carrying rate coming down through a supply or something like that.
Yeah.
Anything's possible, but they say it can actually pass through walls. So the whole chemical nature of that, or the way that happens in the world, I'm not as astute on that topic of it. But when I'm told by a master instructor that it can, and they cite some experiences with it, and then I hear from other people that, yeah, I'm convinced on that one.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to research that. I bet you the people that are listening to this are going to go research that now too. Early maintenance, early detection of failed parts, heat exchangers, combustion analysis to see how things are operating. Like that boiler, I wouldn't have known what was going on if I didn't put my analyzer in it. So it's super important to use an analyzer. Some companies offer it as part of their service. Some companies offer it as an extra. Like, I mean, shouldn't it be part of every single service, especially at the beginning of the season when you're doing that initial startup?
It should be, as a general rule of thumb, it should be. These contractors should be figuring out a way to roll it into the cost of what they're doing. What I've seen contractors do as a way to draw in service contract customers is added as a line item in the services offered. And then you take what it would be from a labor cost perspective to do it, you wrap that into the cost of the service contract so it's covered. So the customer is already paying for it. So you're doing it. And it's a way to draw in more customers, because if you advertise it correctly, what you're doing, they're going to learn that the average contractor down the street isn't doing that, and that you're giving them almost like a concierge type service on their system. And you're going to let them know how their system is performing relative to what the industry says it should be doing. And that's a nice clean bill of health. And that's a level of assurance that a lot of contractors aren't giving. People that are listening to you do all of your podcasts and YouTube and everything else, the fanboys and fangirls that are listening to you are the ones out there that are doing it right, or they're the ones out there that are aspiring to do it right. So if we can have enough of these people that we already know are far exceeding the curve, just give them that one little teeter over and say, listen, you might want to start doing this. That just makes it all the more better. And another thing we should be checking when we're doing our maintenance is, Gary, for those that have condensing systems and you have access to that intake and that exhaust, you should be making sure on that intake that you have 20.9% oxygen coming back to that system. You should be making sure that bushes haven't grown up in front of the exhaust and creating air curtain and having the flue properties bounce off it and get pulled in back into the intake air. Make sure you don't have the cross-contamination or the counterflow, so to speak, or the impingement of that exhaust air coming out of there. And make sure you have that pristine 20.9% oxygen coming back to the system so the system can function as optimally as it can. You can have the greatest, highest efficiency, life expectancy, and safety of that system that you could possibly have.
You said something that sort of made me think a light bulb went off. You said concierge service. Mm-hmm. Now, and this is why a light bulb went off. Concierge service is like, I'm going to equate it to this. So I took my family, like we live about an hour and a half from downtown Toronto, roughly, right, with traffic. So we went down to a soccer game. I'm a big soccer guy. We went down to a TFC game, and we went to the exhibition, Toronto exhibition, which is like a fair, a bunch of rides, vendors, food, all that kind of stuff. And we go down there every year and meet some families and have some fun. And I'm like, you know what? This year, I don't want to drive home at the end of the night. I want to enjoy myself. And at the end of the night, when I'm tired, we're going to stay in a hotel. So there's a hotel called Hotel X. And we don't do stuff like this very often. So I'm like, let's go there for the weekend, enjoy ourselves, go to the game, have a couple drinks, whatever. And from the moment we got into this place, from the moment we left, I felt it was more expensive than the average hotel, but I felt very taken care of. Everything from going to the pool, ordering food, going to one of the restaurants, even taking the elevator up with people that are there to kind of like open the elevator for you, lead you in, stuff like that. It felt like I felt amazing just being there.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to places like this, you feel it, you see the cleanliness of the room, you hear how pleasant the people are on the phone when you call the front desk for whatever reason. You go up to the pool, you see them walking around serving you with a smile. You see it in person. The problem with HVAC is when they're done, you don't see the cleanliness of the unit. You don't see how well it's working. You don't see this stuff. It's just a box in the basement or the attic or wherever it's hidden in the home or the building. How does a contractor create that service that a hotel or restaurant can provide in parallel with it so they can charge more for the services that they're offering rather than someone that's kind of a chuck in the truck will come into your house for $50, brush out your furnace, vacuum it, and then they're off and say you're all good. How do we differentiate between the two? You got any thoughts on that?
What they want to put together is a list of services or a list of things that are going to be done. And they should discuss that with their customers. Say, listen, contrary to maybe what's been done here in the past, we're not going to be in and out of your house in 10 minutes. We're going to do a thorough inspection of your heating system, thorough inspection of your air conditioning system. And we are going to perform all of these different things. We want you to know that we are inspecting this thing fully and that we're going to protect you and your family from a performance perspective, the way the system operates, from a comfort perspective, because we want to keep you comfortable, and from a safety perspective, because you only get 2 times to really see them during the year. You always want to look at it as if it's like a first date. You want to make the best impression. When to pull out all the stops, make the best impression. You want to make them feel how you would want to feel. In other words, are my needs being met? Yes. Is there going to be a proper return on the cost of these people being here? Yes. Am I getting a level of service that I've never seen before? Yes. So you want to pull out all those stops, differentiate yourself, shoe booties when you go into a place, all these different kinds of things, gloves on your hands if need be, so you don't put fingerprints on things if you've been doing stuff all day, all these different kinds of things, checking with the homeowner, having your office follow up. So when you're done there, if there's a follow-up visit that's needed, have the office follow up in a kind and respectful way. All those different kinds of things. But there needs to be a list of what is going to be done and explaining it to the customer. So which means that the technicians going there have to be trained on how to do this as well. We have to have some form, Gary, in this industry, or an additional amount of bedside manner. We have to be able to speak to people. This is becoming more of a conversation type business where it's not so cold anymore. We're able to converse with people. We're able to meet people where they're at in life. So if we're able to have a little bit of bedside manner, that could be the differentiator. Say, listen, this company's personable. They're willing to speak to me. They're willing to explain things to me. And you're showing them that you're not hiding anything. It's all hands above the table. There's no deceptive practices. What needs to be done will be recommended with the proper detail and data backing that recommendation. So that's just part of it.
I agree with you. And showing reports and stuff like that with the technology we have today, is amazing. Like you can say to the homeowner when you first get there, I don't like throwing other contractors under the bus, but you don't have to do it in a direct way. You can just say to the homeowner or building manager when you get there, hey, do you mind if I see the combustion report from the last company that was here? And if they say no, well, you've got them right there.
Yeah.
You go, well, by the time I leave, you'll have a full-on combustion report that I can show you, showing your appliance works safely or doesn't. And if it doesn't, then we'll have to go through the options of what we're going to do. And I think that alone provides like the extra bit of service that these chuck in the trucks or people that are not necessarily taking maintenance seriously, I think that differentiates you off the bat.
Yeah, and you're showing them where they were with them versus where they're at with you. And you get to create that differentiator right there. And right then and there, the light bulb's going to go off for them. As you said, you had a light bulb moment when we were speaking. The light bulb will go off for them that, listen, these people aren't just your average everyday, contractor. This company is, has it figured out and understands me as a customer, and understands how I think and things are going to make me feel good that they're taking care of my family.
Yeah, amazing. Cool. Well, I mean, you wanted to go over your promo for what you're doing with the analyzer for the fall. Is that what you want to do?
Sure. Yeah, just real quick. We're running a promotion that is taking place, at least here in the States, and we're seeing what we can do up in Canada. But as of right now, it's presently in North America and the States here, where if you buy if I could show this in front of my face again here and block my face out, the 130 series combustion analyzer here, you're going to get the following. You're going to get 2 free months of Measure Quick. If you already have Measure Quick, you get 1, but you get 2 free months of Measure Quick. You get a Carhartt Sauermann trucker cap, and you also get your choice. Yep, you get your choice of a free combustible gas leak detector or SICD3 or a free Bluetooth printer. So that promotion starts September 1st. So that's for that one. For the 030, which is the 4-button model, you get a Sauermann trucker cap, a little bit different than the Carhartt one. You get a free PM3, which is our digital manometer, SI PM3, our digital manometer, dual port manometer, and you get your 2 free months of Measure Quick with that as well. So it's a pretty darn good promo running forward here from now through November, for September 1st through November 30th, at least here in the States. And we're looking to see what we could do up in Canada with what we're offering. No promises on that, but it's geared towards here in the States because that was the immediate effect for implementing this.
Awesome. Amazing. Yeah, and I can say, I mean, I used your analyzer the end of last heating season a bunch of times, and you and I went through the discussion of, can you check it outside? Can you check it inside? And we came to the conclusion that at the breach is the best place, but in some scenarios, yes, outside is acceptable. And like I said, I've used your analyzer, and it's come in super, super handy. It's small, light, and compact, and I mean, you can fit it in some of your tool pouches.
Yep.
If you've
got for those of you that use Measure Quick, it's the only analyzer on there. So it is the analyzer of choice because it is the only one on that platform. And with the longest sensor life out there. I mean, you're talking a 5-year oxygen sensor life, a 4 to 5 year CO sensor life. We're starting to see more low NOx now, so you can add low NOx to that 130 that I showed you, or NOx to it. The 030 you can add NOx to, sensor life indicator, so you're never surprised by a dead sensor, and the life indicator, the CO pump cutoff that we discussed when you had asked about the CO safety aspect of things. So there's a lot of attributes to it that are unique in the industry and that have pushed us out there to the forefront where we're much more known than we've been before. So it's been a nice run for us here that we've started off with for the last series of years, and we're looking to continue the momentum going forward here, especially in this heating season, and helping out as many people as we can. And if you're listening to this and you need to get training, look us up and check out Sauermann for training. My training docket is scheduled for the rest of the year, so we might be coming into a location where you're listening from, and you might be able to go see us at one of our distributors out there, and we're happy to see you. But we can also do it at the contractor level, so reach out to us and see what we can do for you. We're happy to do it.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much again, Tyler, for your time, and I'm sure this one will be another kick-ass YouTube conversation, so thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Gary.